Maurice Jones-Drew, my good friend for a long time, running the rock at the Jacksonville Jaguars and then the Oakland Raiders and then joining the NFL Network. And he's been a Rams radio analyst for a few years now. Back here, kind enough, on the show. First of 2 Friday appearances in a row. You're with us at the Super Bowl as well. We
Can't wait. I'm going to have my kids there, though. So
I love that. Kids are welcome anywhere. That's fantastic. Bring the family.
There won't be no snowballs or anything, so you don't have to worry about it.
Because this is cool, too. I mean, you're going to the Super Bowl. You're calling a Super Bowl, MJD. I mean, this is like for a professional broadcaster, this is a pinnacle. So congrats on that.
Well, thank you. It's crazy because I was trying to get my kids out of school. And, you know, you really don't know until, you know, obviously Sunday. So I called in Monday, me and my wife, and we, you know, put it in so we can get some homework. I forget what they call it, but you take it with you because my parents, my mom lives there, my sister lives in Atlanta, so they'll stay with them for a little bit. But the school was a little hesitant on letting them go. And so I had to tell them, like, listen, they're going to go regardless.
I know, right?
This is huge. So
why don't you get McVay to write him a plea, you know, an excuse letter?
He has a lot going on.
McVay, you could write it for him and just shove it in front of him and say, just sign it, Sean.
I probably should
do that for you.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool like that. I think he would. But the principal saw how big it was and was like, it's all good.
Okay, that's great. So, you know.
Who does this school think they are? Like
educators.
Here's the deal. Whatever your kids are going to learn this week, they're never going to remember. They're going to remember for the rest of their lives spending a week with their dad at the Super Bowl.
Well, I think that's what the principal said. So that's why I was like,
you were just gonna be that parent at school that nobody wants around. You better learn how to keep your cool a little bit.
Because I speak logic and truth.
I don't think there's a lot of that in some schools. So,
and, you know, I told this story earlier this week about the flight that I was on with Kara Henderson Sneed, my longtime friend, good friend from ESPN, and then we helped launch NFL Network together. She was on the first ever Total Access. Fascinating enough, she was pregnant with her now high school-aged son, interviewing Tom Brady at the Super Bowl in Houston after they beat the Carolina Panthers. And now here we go watching the Rams. She's now married to Les Snead. At any rate, she said, if you want to fly back from the game in Seattle, the Thursday night game in 2016, and I went through the Rams, sure enough, sat next to her, and that plane flight was a morgue. They got blown out by 3 scores. Jared Goff has still been winless as a starting quarterback. They had fired Jeff Fisher earlier in the week, a short week. It was John Fossil, now the special teams coordinator, and the plane flight was a morgue. Chris, across the aisle from me was Maurice Jones-Drew.
Oh.
I remember that flight.
And DeMarco Farr, who does the broadcast with you as well,
yes.
St. Louis Ram champion DeMarco Farr. He was right next to you. Nobody on that plane in a million years thought that you were anywhere near a Super Bowl, 36 games from a Super Bowl. If I had told you on that flight that you're 36 games away from a Super Bowl, not only that, though, the rest of the league would be trying to mimic what the Rams were cooking. What if I had told you that flight?
I probably would have been like, I appreciate all the kindness to pick us up, but, probably not at that situation. You just never know what was going to happen after that game. But, I think the Rams brass did a great job identifying Coach McVay, and the story behind that is that they didn't think that he might not have been – they were like, well, he may not be ready now, but when he is ready, we won't have a chance to get him. And so they took a real big chance on him, and it's worked out. And, he's addressed some needs that they had at the left tackle position, receiver position, challenged all those players to be better, and it's been a story ever since.
What does he do? I mean, because, again, I did my top 10 storylines for Super Bowl 53. He's 1 and 2. Storyline number 2 is him versus Belichick.
Right.
But number 1 is anything McVay. What does he do? When you see this in person, what does he do for the Rams that is a difference maker?
Well, the first time I met him, he was like, hey, Maurice, let's go out to dinner. Let's talk. And I was like, granted he's younger than I am, but he was kind of like, it was just like, he was cool. He's one of the guys, he's like that friend that everyone follows in a way where he's going to tell you what's right and wrong, but also you're going to enjoy those moments. And I think everyone's embraced him. And after that game against the Saints, you saw like Michael Brockers run into him, Aaron Donald, guys are telling him thank you because he's holding them to a higher standard. He saw something that they didn't see in themselves. And he's able to pull it out without yelling at you and without degrading you, and I guess in that way. And so it's been a crazy ride. Just talking to guy, I talk to Todd a lot every week, and obviously Todd didn't have his best game against the Saints, and sometimes you just wake up and you don't have a bad game, but McVay was there the whole time. Like, we're gonna get you going, and not only did Todd he scored a touchdown, but there were some huge plays in the game where he didn't have the ball, where he picked up some blitzes to allow Jared Goff to slide or make throws to Brandon Cooks or other guys get open. And that's what it's about. And so, he praises guys, even when you don't do well with the ball, when you do it without it. And those are the plays they need. So, I don't know, like the culture he's created there, like it's hard to emulate and the things that they do, but he's done a phenomenal job.
He sure has. And he's in the Super Bowl as a 33-year-old head coach. He just turned 33 just this week. Maurice Jones-Drew here in the Honda Insider Report. All right, what is with Todd Gurley? What is happening? Is he hurt? He's hurt.
I don't think he's hurt. To be honest with you, and I may be wrong, I think he did a great job in Dallas. Sometimes when you get in the playoffs, though, it's who's hotter. And C.J. Anderson was the hotter guy. I remember playing the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night, and I don't know what it was. I just kept fumbling. I think I fumbled like 4 times. And it was just like I changed my gloves. I'd wash my hands. I went in at halftime and took a shower to try to get whatever was on me off. Sometimes you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and it's just not your day. But that's one time I think has happened for Todd. And so I expect him to come back in the Super Bowl and be able to be the guy that he's always been and play the way he's played.
If he's not hurt, what's he doing on the bike? What's the stationary bike?
He's trying to stay warm. Because remember, you're on the sidelines, just sitting there. You're not moving. You're not doing anything.
So that's Todd Gurley, the OG, okay, the MVP at the midway point of the season, in my mind, okay,
right.
The guy who essentially, if you had to point to one guy on the offensive side of the ball, who is responsible for making sure that the Rams had a bye week,
Todd Gurley,
correct. We know who the other guy is on the other side of the ball, and Aaron Donald. How is he now suddenly the guy that just can't get the burst, can't get to the hole, and that C.J. Anderson looks so much more vibrant coming off of the couch?
Well, let's remember the Saints had the number 2 rush defense too. So it wasn't that C.J. Anderson ran well, but they didn't break 100 yards. They didn't really have the explosive gains they wanted in the running game, but it opened up their passing game. Todd's a different back. And so when you watch the Dallas Cowboys, always try to go back to Dallas where you saw the explosiveness. He put his foot in the ground. He made cuts. He made people miss. That's the Todd. He just couldn't do it this week. And so, again, sometimes it's just not your day. Like, it's hard to say that, to be like in the NFC Championship game, it's not your day, but people have bad games. So it just so happened that it was Todd Gurley this week, and hopefully that it doesn't carry on. But I got a chance to talk to him after, and, I saw the interview at the end of the game, and I've been there before. You're like, look, I played like trash, and it takes a lot because you are a guy that is expected a ton of. But I reminded him, like, there's no way that they are here where you are without you. So it's not like you're afforded a bad day. Now it's just not to have a second one and be able to go forward. And that team did a great job of picking them up. I mean, C.J. Anderson came in, did a great job. Robert Woods. Brandon Cooks has 100 yards.
Hey,
Jared Goff, your tight ends.
Let's hit this here for a second with you, Maurice Jones-Drew. Goff dropped his Huggies in this game.
No question.
To use the Parcells phrase of growing up, some of the throws he made were dynamite, including the third down one to help set up the game-tying field goal. I thought that game was, in fact, over based on the way the first couple of plays were going on their first offensive set. He made a great rolling to his right. I thought, oh, God, he's going to throw it away,
right.
And now the whole season is going to come down on one. It was, and I think it led to the Everett completion.
Yeah.
That was the longest completion of the entire game. I mean, that was something else right there.
Well, the Rams, what people don't know, the Rams are one of the top teams, I want to say, if not the top team in the 2-minute situation at the end of the half or at the end of the game. They always convert for points, which is huge. And that was the thing that I brought up on our broadcast, is that they excel in these type of situations. Maybe it's because Jared Goff is used to the no huddle from Cal when he was there. Maybe it's just they perform better. You see more simple coverages in those situations. But he was able to make plays, and those guys believe in their system and what they do. And Jared, when he throws the ball to him, and again, the Gerald Everett catch and run was amazing, right? You haven't seen that type of guys are just showing up, and sometimes you need that when your best player is going down. But I remember so it's funny. I used to train at Cal when I would play in the NFL, and Jared was a freshman and he was hurt. He got hurt after his freshman year, and so I was banged up a little bit, and we were in the treatment room. That's where I really got to know him there because we were doing treatment at the same time.
Huh.
And the 18-year-old Jared Goff is completely different than the guy now.
What do you mean?
Just he didn't have the swag back then. He's from Marin Catholic, so I give him that. North Bay is a little bit different than East Bay and other things like that. But he's just real confident after the game. Seeing him with Marcus Pierce said, "I think we're not done yet." Right? Those that is leadership, having a good time with his friends and really embracing that team and what they have there. And it's going to be interesting to see this game because I can't wait to see. It's a big-time rivalry, too. A lot of people don't know this. Tom Brady, I know everyone knows, went to Sarah High School in the Bay Area up north. Well, their rival is Marin Catholic, where Jared Goff went. It's a big game, man. It's a lot on the line right now.
Oh, my God. Now
it's a lot. I'm giving you some deep stuff.
That is a storyline for Super Bowl 53.
I'm giving you some deep inside stuff right now.
If I gave you the top 10, that might not even crack the top 100, but I understand that we're always looking to create lines of connection here.
I got you. It goes deep.
Okay, there you go. That's next level right there from Maurice Jones-Drew.
Like
and before we turn the page to Super Bowl 53, the non-pass interference call.
Right.
It is going to be something discussed next week, certainly if the commissioner in the league does not put out a statement this week at all, essentially saying what the obvious is. And I think Saints fans want to hear it. You saw what Benjamin Watson tweeted out, although I don't know what would be gained out of, hey, we blew it and we want to make sure it's not, we're going to take steps to make sure that it's not going to happen again. But it's going to be discussed next week. Andrew Whitworth gave us an indication when he came in on Monday's show and he called in how the Rams are going to handle this. It's an excuse. There was more football to be played.
Right.
They had the ball. They didn't score. We got it. We scored. We win.
Very simple. I'll say this. First of all, first and foremost, the Saints fans, very passionate group. We were out there before the game. I mean, we were talking. They were talking trash. I couldn't even get what I wanted to tell you out because they were all over me about it. But they did feed us, and they created seafood. They had the best hospitality I've ever had.
Okay.
With that all being said,
now trash them, Maurice.
Well, you have to put this on Coach Sean Payton. This is on him. This isn't on anyone else. In that situation, you're supposed to run the ball 3 times, kick the field goal, make them burn their timeouts so that now you're putting the pressure on Jared Goff and that offense to go down the field with a minute or so left.
Apparently, Peyton did call a run play. Drew saw – well, no, he saw
he
9 in the box, and Drew went ahead and threw the ball on first down.
Run pass option.
Kind of dirted it,
Well, I mean, that's an
that
issue.
set everything in motion. That led to a why not just go for it on 3rd and 10. And then that blown call. I mean, hold on a minute. Have you ever seen a worse blown call?
I mean, I coach youth football. I've seen some bad calls.
Have you ever seen?
No, I haven't. I haven't. But I'll say this. And the number one thing with coaching and talking with a lot of coaches, the number one rule is never leave it in the ref's hands. Never leave it in the ref's hands because you never know. Again, we have to remember they're human. They're not perfect. So human error always can come in that situation. I don't know what he was seeing. I didn't get to see it from that vantage point. I was up high looking down.
You thought a flag was coming though, right?
I felt like a flag was coming. It didn't, and it happens. Granted, but that one play doesn't change the game. Let's talk about all the times that the Saints got into the red zone and kicked field goals. Let's talk about the fact that they had it in OT, which we saw Tom Brady have the ball in OT and just end the game. So there was opportunities throughout the course of the game that I felt like they could have taken advantage of. It just wasn't that one call, and people have to stop doing that because, we're teaching that it's okay to be upset and make excuses. Like, no, there was 60-odd minutes plus more to be played, and you can't dwell on those things. Now, I know people want to say, Maurice, you know what? You never won anything a day in your life. And I'm going to bark back and say, no, I won 4 national high school championships.
Well,
and I work with you every day, so it's all good.
But I have an opinion too, and I've never played in the NFL. You have, so we all and fans all do too. But again, I'm just wondering what the league's approach is going to be here because
I don't think there's anything you can say about it.
The commissioner's state of the state address is going to happen next Thursday. He's going to make public appearances in Atlanta. There is going to be a question posed of the league. What do you think, and what are you going to do about it?
All you can say is that we can try to improve that. Because it's not like Roger Goodell made that call. It's not like Al Riveron made that. So whoever made that call, you're going to obviously sanction him on that or whose job that was, and then say we have to learn from it moving forward. It's the same with the tuck rule. You don't think that I was sick watching the Raiders beat the Patriots in New England with the fumble. And there was no explanation from that. It was just like, oh, this is a rule that hasn't been used in
ever,
right? And we're going to use it this time. So it's like one of those things that you have to live with it. And there's other plays that have happened throughout the course of our history of this game that have changed different dynamics. It is what it is. That's what makes our game special. That's why it's always going to be. And we were talking about the Lakers and the Warriors. I'm a big Warriors fan, and Spurs. I used to love Manu Ginobili back in the day, but the difference between NBA, MLB, hockey, they play 7-game series, so you can afford to mess up. You can't do that in football. And that's what makes football the greatest game, is that you have to be on your best. One time is all you get, is one chance. You get nothing else. And so I can understand why people are upset, but I also don't understand why you just keep going back to that one play when you won the coin toss in OT and you should have won.
Maurice Jones-Drew, a few more minutes left with you here in the Honda Insider Report. McVay and it's also Wade Phillips, obviously, together. What do they think Belichick and McDaniels are cooking up here to prepare Goff and also for them to know what to do with Brady? What do you think?
Well, I think defensively, Coach McVay has to be ready for inside pressure. If you look at the times when Jared has struggled, they've found ways to get pressure inside. You saw the Patriots do that, utilizing stunts and things from their defensive line and Patrick Mahomes. And that's how you get sacks on most quarterbacks, if you can get inside pressure. So that offensive line has to be prepared for those type of games.
Yeah, there was one time where the inside pressure forced Mahomes right into the spy.
Exactly.
And he made a dynamite, crazy-ass arm angle throw anyway.
Right. So I don't think – I'm not – I think Mahomes is probably the most talented quarterback we have in this league. So you want to make sure that you protect your quarterback and put him in his best or put him at where he can be at his best. But the other thing is they're going to blitz you, and they're going to try to get the ball out of Jared's hands quickly. So you have to have, built-in hot routes for that. Defensively for the Rams, I think you have to be ready to stop the run. I know that first drive against the Chiefs, the Patriots ran the ball like 8 or 9 times in that 15.
Michelle has been dynamite, man.
James Devlin, I keep talking about him, a fullback and what it brings to that team. On the touchdown to go ahead before they went into OT, he hit Eric Berry and then kind of like drove him into the ground, creating more space. That's something that a fullback's able to bring, and the Rams rarely see that. If you look at the Saints game, they rarely played with a fullback. They played with 2 tight ends instead of bringing in their fullback. So that's just a different aspect that they have to get used to and try to dive in. But the Rams defense has done a great job of stopping the run the last 2 games. They've only allowed under 100 yards rushing or something crazy like that. So I think they're up for the task. And, you have guys that have played in that New England Patriots system, which is nice, where the Patriots don't have a guy who's played in this Sean McVay system.
Well, Talib, right?
You have Talib, you have Brandon Cooks, obviously of last year. So you can lean on those guys and get some information from them and go out there. And, I think everyone talks about, you have to play a perfect game against the Patriots. No, you just have to play your game. You just have to go out there and do your job. I know Bill Belichick says it all the time. You don't think so?
You got to play perfect game. Ask D Ford. Seriously,
yeah, that's my guy too.
I'm sorry
I saw
to bring that up.
That hurt. That's my dog.
You cannot create. You can't do
second chances.
You can't do a pre-snap penalty that turns 2nd and 5 into 2nd and 10.
No.
You can't do a pre-snap penalty that turns 3rd and 10 for them into 3rd and 5.
Right.
You can't figure out who the 12th man is to come off the field at the last second and do some sort of crazy-ass special teams, run the regular team back out, and like they almost got Kansas City on in the AFC Championship game. No. You've got to, and when there's a loose ball on the field,
you got to get it.
Go get it. Don't let it sit there.
Well,
I think all of that.
Well, I'll say this.
That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, the Rams, they went out and they really went out and got guys defensively that helped for this. Like, Ndamukong Suh's done a great job stopping the run. Aaron Donald's done a phenomenal job stopping the run. Michael Brockers as well. And they have the talent, the pieces to do it. It comes down to making sure that your guys are prepared to do their best. Make sure you're healthy, which they are. They're one of the healthiest teams in the league right now. And if they can keep going, and imagine if Todd goes out there and has a day that we're used to, it's going to be tough.
Maurice Jones-Drew, do you want to stay one more segment? We could talk.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, one more segment. I want to talk about the Warriors with you.
Oh, yes.
And my take. I don't know if you heard that in the.
Oh, it's going to be tough to get with them. I used to be a Warrior. I used to have season tickets when Baron Davis and the guys were there.
Oh.
The ticket price has gone up a little bit, so I try to.
Okay. Maurice Jones-Drew here on the Rich Eisen Show. One more segment with him, and your phone calls also still to come. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Welcome back to the show. Maurice Jones-Drew is here as well. And join me, and on Friday in particular, Maurice Jones-Drew, on our set in Atlanta for Super Bowl week. We're going to be on the campus there at Turner. It's going to be a blast, just a great time. We're going to have JB Smoove in studio all Tuesday's program. Dan Patrick kicks off our show with us on Monday after he's done with his show there in Atlanta. He's going to join us. And we've got a live studio audience as well. So come out and join us. RichInAtlanta.com. Get your free tickets for Super Bowl week in Atlanta. RichInAtlanta.com. Maurice Jones-Drew still here. So bring your kids, right?
Oh, yeah, they're coming.
So you're going to have a posse? You're going to have
well, just because my sister's going to have work. I think my mom's going to stay at home with but I'll bring my two boys with me.
Poll question brought to you by TrueCar. When it comes to selling or trading in your car, you need to make good choices. And with TrueCar, you've got a star on your roster. So when you're ready to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar. Disclaimer is that the true cash offer is not available in all areas. Christopher, what do you have over there?
Guys, we had a great NFL season, but what will you remember most from this past year? Patrick Mahomes, the officiating, Brady and Drew Brees' ageless seasons, Baker Mayfield, or Pittsburgh Steelers drama?
What would you remember out of all of those?
Out of all those? Ooh,
I know what my answer would be.
I think probably Pittsburgh.
Really?
Because it was
Le'Veon Bell.
It started Le'Veon.
What's the latest with him? You share an agent, right?
Yeah, we do.
What can you tell me on that?
He's training right now. He's been training for the last month and a half, just getting ready for the next team.
Is it true he has identified a team? There's a report out there that he's identified the Dolphins. What do you got?
I don't know that. I know they were a team early on, but obviously with the coaching change, I don't know if that's going to be the team now.
Okay.
But it makes sense though, because that's where he trains and that's where a lot of his support is.
Yeah, that's where he's and then everybody made it when he tweeted out goodbye to Miami, and wound up playing a rec game in Pittsburgh. Everybody thought, okay, he's coming back, and then he didn't.
Well, yeah, he has a house there, so he had to make sure everything was.
Oh, is that what it was? Make sure the pipes weren't freezing over.
Yeah, it gets cold in Pittsburgh.
You got to go up there, run the hot water a little bit.
Yeah, make sure everything's okay. Get the mail. You know how it is.
Well, the latest on that is ESPN's Jeremy Fowler wrote a heck of a piece on what behind the scenes in Pittsburgh. There's all these AFC North
behind the scenes
drama pieces on ESPN.com. We had Wickersham on yesterday. We'll see if we can get Jeremy Fowler on the program later on as well. About how Tomlin's telling everybody that Brown is tolerable until his results on the field are somewhat.
I mean, I think that's a lot. That's everyone though. That's every coach.
That's everybody, right?
I think that's in every business. You're gonna as long as someone's producing, you're gonna put up with them until they stop producing. Then you'll move on to find the next person. That's just how it goes.
My pick is Mahomes for the poll. I mean, he's just incredible, just absolutely remarkable season. And is the face of the league for the moment.
With the no-look pass, that's what sold me.
It's the no-look. It's the left hand. It's also the different arm angles. It's also just what where he is for the Chiefs.
His voice.
It's everything.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, middle of the country, and
crazy hair, the headband. It's the whole package.
The ketchup.
Oh, the ketchup. I'm
so
more of a ranch guy like that. Like I could put ranch on anything, but ketchup.
Maurice, thanks for coming here. Now it's time for you to go.
You're not a ranch guy?
No, Rich is big ketchup guy.
Yep.
Really?
Ketchup's good on.
I will put ketchup on everything.
Yep. I'm with Rich.
My son, actually, Xander's got a shirt that said, I'll put ketchup on everything. He's a ketchup monster.
I've
created a ketchup
monster.
Wow.
Absolute ketchup monster.
Wow.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah. What do you think of your Warriors?
Listen,
What do you think? I say they're going to win 30. They're going to break the record of 33 straight wins.
I don't.
Cousins right now.
Yeah, you know what? I really don't know. I just being up there and being around a lot of those guys. We kind of all live in the same area. They're just a great group of dudes. To be honest with you, they love to play basketball. But what I will say is that a lot of people, all the hate about like, oh, they're getting better. Well, someone else could have signed, DeMarcus Cousins.
Too,
Somebody could have signed him that. Right? And it's not like Kevin Durant went to free agency. He had an opportunity to pick where he wanted to go. They just had a culture there. And I think, Steph has done a great job of managing, a lot of egos and things going on. And the best part about their team is if you're hot, you're going to get the ball.
And Boogie is just, it really is amazing
I
what they've been able to do.
think there was like a thing, the Warriors versus the Eastern Conference All-Stars. Like who would win?
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll see you in Atlanta next Friday
Yes.
on our Friday show. That'll be great. Congrats on calling the Super Bowl.
I appreciate
MJD.
it.
I'm really thrilled for you.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.